Good evening, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for August 23rd, 2014, Saturday night around 7:15 p.m. in Billerica, Massachusetts. It was a nice sunny day, highs in the 70s, and it's going to continue to be good weather. Next week we get warm weather. We might be humid Wednesday around here with 90 degrees humidity. That's probably going to be the last day of 90-degree weather. We've only had about 4 this year in the area, which is good. It's on vacation now, heat and humidity on a consistent basis, but I don't think we're going to be lucky next year. I bet we'll probably have 10 to 20 days of 90-degree weather. Some news to report: the Seattle Mariners beat the Boston Red Sox again by the score of 7-3. The Red Sox are on a losing streak, 7-game losing streak, and they're going to probably be finishing in last place again for this year. They won't defend the world title because they're not going to make the playoffs. And that's about it on the news. My next subject is about a classic television game show that was a moderate success in the United States, but it was a major success overseas, especially in the UK. It's called the game show Blockbusters. Blockbusters had 2 runs on NBC, October 27th, 1980 through April 23rd, 1982. That's the most famous one. It was hosted by Bill Cullen, and it was revived on January 5th, 1987 through May 1st, 1987 on NBC, and Bill Raftery hosted that version. But the Bill Cullen version's more famous and probably more successful in the United States. It was produced by Mark Goodson and Bill Todman Productions. The announcers of the show were, the primary one was Bob Hilton, and on occasions it was Johnny Olsen and Rich Jeffries substituting on the Bill Cullen version. When it was the Bill Raftery version, it was Rich Jeffries who was the announcer for the entire series. The 1980 to 1982 version of Blockbusters was played by 3 contestants: a single player and a family pair, which they were not like they were related, but they couldn't be married, like brothers, sisters, mother, daughter, mother, son, father, daughter, father, son, cousins, aunts, uncles, etc. And it was played. This game was played like to see if 2 heads were better than 1, and the game was played on a 5x4 board with 20 letters, any letters in the alphabet, and the question always had to do with a particular letter. Let's say the letter was H, and the host would read this question: what letter H is a little Swiss girl who's famous for like interrupting a 1968 football game? And they would, boom, somebody would answer, and it's Heidi. The H, that's how it's played. And it was like the white boxes represents the family pair, and the red boxes represented the solo player, and the solo pair had to go up and down to connect the blocks. They could win the game with at least 4 questions. The family player had the white boxes, so they would have to go side to side, and they would win. They could win the game with at least 5 questions, and there was 20 like letters, so it would be impossible for a tie game. And it was like best 2 out of 3. Every time a single player or a family player won, they would get $500. If they won 2 games, they get $1,000, and they would go on to the gold run for a possible $5,000 in 60 seconds. And the bonus round was initials instead of letters, and they would have to make a path from a connection one side to the other, and they could do it as few as 5 questions if they got it right. And if they got it wrong, a block would be put up, and they would have to work their way around a block until they would be completely blocked out, which means they wouldn't win the game, wouldn't win the bonus game. And if they didn't win the bonus game, they would get $100 box and stuff. And that was very amazing with the things that they would do, like with the questions with the initials. Say it was like BC, host of Blockbusters, Bill Cullen. That's for an example. And then the players could stay on the game for Blockbusters a minimum of 10 times, a maximum of 10 times. But later on in the NBC run, they upped it to 20 games, and they usually brought back the single players or the family pairs who won the 10 games max, and they brought them back. And the Blockbusters had an 18-month run on NBC, the first version, but it got canceled in April of 1982, and it was revived in 1987, hosted by Bill Raftery, but there was changes to the show. The game was computerized, and it was just it was no family players, just two single players playing once against. The champions would play like with the white boxes, and the challengers with the red boxes, and the advantage would alternate the first two games. Like, I think the champion had the advantage with going side to side for at least 5 questions to win, and the challenger would have 4 questions, and then it got reversed the second game. But if it was the third game of Blockbusters, the main game, they would have to do, the board would be broken down to 4x4 and from 5.4 to 4.5 with 16 letters, so nobody would have the advantage. And each game won in the 1987 version of Blockbusters, $100 a win. And then they would play the gold run again for $5,000 the first maybe few weeks of the show, but towards the end of the run, they would start at a progressive jackpot of $5,000, and each time it wasn't won, it would get up $5,000. But this Blockbusters wasn't really good on the air. It only lasted about like 17, 18 weeks, and it wasn't as popular as the Bill Cullen version as well. But Blockbusters was a moderate hit in the United States, but it was sold overseas to England, which they had maybe close to a 20-year run of that show, and other countries have seen had like versions of Blockbusters, which was pretty amazing. And reruns of Blockbusters with the Bill Cullen version was seen first in 1984 on CBN, which is now ABC Family, and then 1994, when the Game Show Network was launched, both versions of Blockbusters, the Bill Cullen version and the Bill Raftery version, was shown on GSN various times, and Blockbusters is still seen today in reruns. The Bill Cullen version weekdays on GSN at 9 in the morning, and I'm very surprised that GSN has never considered reviving Blockbusters for like a GSN original. It probably would be a good GSN original to produce, because it's been on, like, reruns have been basically on the air for Game Show Network since it's been on. Maybe they don't think of this stuff yet, but I think it would be probably a good GSN original. It should be considered to be revived very soon. Well, that's about it for right now. I'll be back later on in the evening with the third and final video blog of the night, because I say I'll do at least 3 video blogs a night, and I have to live up to my word. See you later, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. See you in a little while.